So I think the real question is balance a myth? Have we been told a lie that we cannot find work-life balance? I don't know. I don't know that I believe that. I believe that balance comes in seasons. And so today we're going to be talking about that. For some of you listening, you may be like, Audrey, that's a lie. There's no such thing as balance. And we have leaders that will tell you, folks who've been very successful in their careers, that balance is a myth, while others say you have to create balance and be intentional about it. So let's dive into it. Are you surviving instead of thriving? Jesus promises abundant life, not just existence. Join us for Pray Without Ceasing 2026 on August 15th in Buena Park, California, for a day of restoration, renewal, and reconnection with God. Stop running on empty. Experience the fullness Christ died to give you. Pray Without Ceasing 2026 because you weren't meant to just survive. Register now at praywithoutceasingministries.com. Welcome back to the Leading from Wholeness podcast. I'm Audrey Shelby, your host. How y'all doing? I'm excited just to connect with you all today and we're going to talk about balance. Is it a myth or is it true? But I wanted to start us off by sharing a review that we received, and this is from Josie. Josie says, Audrey is so encouraging and her voice is one of grace and empowerment. I love how she relates so well and speaks wisdom through God's word. If you're looking for a way to lead your life in a new way, loving way, this is your podcast. That is so sweet. Thank you so much, Josie. I appreciate you taking the time to leave a review. Hey, if you would like for me to read a review on the pod, please feel free to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Former President Barack Obama admits that if you want to find career success, you shouldn't expect to always have work-life balance. He went on to say it's okay to throw yourself into your work as long as you make up for it later. After a hardcore campaign season, he set a strict rule as president to have dinner with his family every night, and that was his priority, regardless of what else was happening. I think balance is something that requires intentionality. I sat on a leadership panel recently and women were saying balance was a myth. It doesn't exist. It's no such thing. And I think I was like one of a few women who disagreed with that thought process. What I've learned is balance requires being intentional, and it is possible. But I really think, at least in my experience, balance is seasonal. There are seasons of push where you have to push and press through, and there's seasons of rest. And in both seasons, there is a requirement of intentionality. When I started out in leadership, I would say I was to the extreme, right? So I was working 60 hours a week. I would get into work early. We had to be at work at 8. I was there by like 7:45, just a little bit early, sometimes 7:30 because I knew it was quieter. There weren't a lot of folks in the building. And then I would leave probably 6, maybe sometimes 7 o'clock, and then go home, rest a little bit, and then get back on the laptop. And I would do this continuously and recognizing like it didn't really work. So I would stay up late till probably like 11 or midnight, and then I'd be back up in the morning at 5:30 or 6. And mind you, for me, spiritually, I wasn't as attuned to God. I believed in Jesus, but I didn't understand what it meant to like invite God into my daily life. So I really was just kind of doing my own thing, doing what I thought was right, doing what I was taught. You work hard. I think majority of folks, I think, particularly in Western culture, we're taught if you work hard, it pays off. And so I worked really, really hard. But what I didn't know what to do is like, what do you do with like the stress and the anxiety that comes from these high level positions? Because it's not just like, oh, there's stress because I'm working hard. There is a real thing around when you get to a certain capacity in leadership, a lot is required, right? To whom much is given, much is required. And so there is this balance of how do I get my job done? And then how do I do it well? How do I still bring excellence to the table while still caring for me? And I think there's a push for like wellness and self-care and, being attuned to your bodies and how we honor ourselves. But that wasn't always the case. Like when I was coming up in leadership, there was no such thing as self-care. Wasn't nobody talking to you about no self-care. They were talking to you about how can you work and how can you get it done. Like that was what it is. How can you get more done with less resources? And even, kind of funny, but today that's where we are. Where we are economically, it is a push of do more work with less resources. And that in itself causes a strain. But I definitely know that for me, I would work in the extremes. And let me tell you, that's when I first started. But it's not that I don't still do that. Back in 2024, I had an accident and it caused me to be just laid up for a few weeks, actually a few months. And what I realized is I had gotten into this pattern of press, 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 press until I just couldn't do it anymore. And then I would go rest. And it's like, that's not healthy, right? So you press and press until your body can't do it anymore versus, okay, how do we intentionally build in times of rest where your body can manage it? We see health-wise, that kind of a strategy is not good, right? There's so many diseases that come from stress on the body. Can we have balance or can we not? I love what President Barack Obama said in terms of if you want to be successful, you're going to have to make sacrifices. And that is true. That is true. If you want to be the best, if you want to seek out excellence in what you do, there are times of sacrifice. I remember, working so hard for all those years, and then I met my husband. And so once I met my husband, it used to be so funny. So, we got married and then he moved in with me. And so when we were dating, we would see each other on the weekends and I would make sure I was present. I was sure like not to cancel any dates with him. Like I was very intentional about my time with him while we were, courting, dating. So once we got married, and that's when he got to kind of see what was really happening, behind the scenes. And he would be like, are you still working? Like, you're still on your laptop? I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I go in the other room, go in the living room and just be on my computer at 11 o'clock at night. And a couple of times he would just make observations. He didn't say a whole lot, but he would make observation. And it became a challenge. Like now we get to the point where I would miss dates. Like we would schedule dates I would forget. Or I would, be late. Say we're going to go to dinner. Or I'll meet you after work. Well, I stayed at work too late. Now I'm meeting him for dinner late. I would take my laptop on our vacations. I'd be still working. And I recognized for myself like, okay, this ain't gonna work. Like this is, this is not working. And I think like when you're young and you're single, you have a lot more flexibility to do that press and to do the grind. And I think that it's okay. I'm not saying don't do it. I think that there are seasons of it. And there also is a time of recognizing that you also need to take care of yourself. And so once I got married, I was like, oh, okay, this is messing up date night and this is messing up our time together. And then soon after that, I would just start to have this just feelings of burnout. Like I couldn't stay up as late as I used to. I would be tired every single day, but still trying to produce and still trying to produce well. And it was like this hamster wheel, if you will. And it wasn't seeming to get any better. And so finally I was like, okay, this is not working anymore. And so I shifted. I got out of my executive role and started training and coaching social workers and supervisors. And I really enjoyed that for quite some time. And it was funny. We had, by this point, we were married a couple of years. We had our first daughter. And then I had gotten a great job working from home. So now I'm not in the office anymore. I'm working from home, very flexible. I went into the office a couple of times a month, but really was nice. And this is pre-COVID. So the idea of working from home was so foreign to me. It was like, what do you mean I'm going to work from home? Like, what are you talking about? But I really loved it. And I did that for about 4 or 5 years. And one day my husband, what seemed like a random comment, he says to me, I think you're going to start teaching. And I was like, what? And he was like, I just feel like you're going to be teaching. And I was like, where is this coming from? Like I'm training now. I'm writing curriculum. I was like, is that what you mean when you say teaching? He was like, no. Like, I understand you're training social workers now. He was like, but you're going to be teaching. I just feel like you're going to be teaching. And that's the thing that's important to note here, right? So I put the idea in the back of my head. I really didn't give it much thought. And I remember I was watching this woman who was preaching on TV, and she was talking about teachers and the expectation on teachers. And I didn't know then, but it was Jackie Hill Perry, which I hadn't known yet. So it's my first time watching her. But when she said that, like I felt a nudge. And I remember then what my husband had said about you're going to teach. I just think you're going to be teaching. Fast forward, maybe a year or so after that, I start getting this desire to want to teach at the college level. And I'm still training social workers. I'm still coaching social workers and leaders. I'm still doing that. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll get an adjunct position, maybe I'll get an adjunct job. And so I start looking around, just piddling around, nothing big, right? And then finally, I have like this, I feel like the Lord told me to apply for this specific adjunct job. So I applied for the job. And now I'm trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to teach adjunct on campus, still keep my job? And I'm trying to work all this through in my head. Now, mind you, at this point, I'm 9 months pregnant with our second daughter, and I had gone on an interview, and they really liked me. I thought the interview went well. I did a teaching demonstration, and so now I'm waiting to hear back from them. So this particular day, they had let me know, we're going to call you at noon, and we'd like to know your answer. They had extended the job to me, and I said, okay. And so where my job was at the time, I'm now, had worked at home for a few years. Then I got another job, and I'm in an office every day. And so I'm walking the parking lot of that office. And that was kind of customary. A bunch of folks would just, just for physical exercise, walk the parking lot because it was so huge. So that particular day, I'm walking the parking lot and I'm just like praying, God, right? I'm like, God, what do I do? I get a full-time job. I'm here on site. If I take this job, that means I have to like be 30 minutes away on campus. How am I supposed to do this? It's only part-time. And I'm 9 months pregnant, like I'm about to have a whole baby. So I'm just, I'm going through this whole thing with God, walking and pacing and pacing. So it's about a quarter to noon. And I'm walking and praying. And God, what do I do? And Lord, I don't know what to do. And just kind of repeating the same things over and over, honestly. I was really nervous because this was a big shift. Like I had been working full time. And this idea of taking this adjunct position that could potentially go to permanent is what we were looking at. So I'm walking and pacing and praying and pacing right before noon. Like when I tell you like a minute before the clock hit noon, I heard, "Don't be afraid." And the phone rang. And I answered the phone and they said, okay, we'd like to extend this offer to you. What have you decided? And I remember what God said. He said, don't be afraid. I didn't know what that meant. I was kind of expecting a yes or no, like, yes, take the job. No, don't take the job. But what he said to me was, don't be afraid. And in hindsight, it was what I needed because I was terrified of making a mistake. I was terrified of this not going to be the same amount of money. What am I going to do? I'm taking a pay cut here. What do I do? And so when they said, okay, what, will you accept our offer? Remembering what God said, I said yes. And I would go on to start teaching adjunct. I quit my full-time job. I stayed home with our second daughter, and I worked part-time. And for me, it was a season of balance because now I had completely downshifted. I worked from working a regular 40-hour work week to 15 hours a week of work. And I was able to be home with my children. I was able to, take care of my household, take care of my husband, dinners, meal prep, all this stuff. Take the kids to the park, meet other moms. I really, really enjoyed it. And that was my season of balance. And so it was hard for me to embrace it from somebody who constantly pushes and pushes and presses and presses. It was very hard to think that I would not work full time and that I would be home with my children. It was very, like, the thought of it was scary. I believe that's partly why God said, don't be afraid. Because he knew what I really needed was to be comforted of the fear of, what if I'm making a mistake? And it wasn't a mistake. So now I have been teaching for 7 years now, and I'm teaching now full time. What I recognize now is that first step, that adjunct position, was to get me to where God has me now, which was to move into full-time teaching. And so it's been such a blessing, but I was scared. I was so worried that I was making a mistake. And so that's why, in my understanding, I believe God said, don't be afraid, because that was really what my issue was. And here's the thing, for those of you who are like, Audrey, you talk about a season of press and a season of rest, and I feel like if I downshift, I'm going to miss God somehow. I'm going to be out of alignment. I will tell you from the story I just shared with you, God will find you. I didn't know I would be teaching. My husband had made a random comment at that time, maybe 4 years prior to being in that moment. And the job I had, I really loved. So I was like, no, I'm going to be right here. Like in my mind, I'm going to be right here, working from home, taking care of at that time our one daughter, and still not have to take a whole bunch of work home at the end of the day. Like I really loved that job. So when my husband said, oh, you're going to be teaching, I was like, what? But that is evident. God will find you. And there are people who have said words to you, who've spoken to you, things that you're like, oh, I don't understand. But you test the word that you've been given and ask God if it's from him. And if it is, he will direct your path. God know how to find you. He know where you at. So don't worry about, am I going to miss God? And that's what my fear was. It was like, am I making a mistake? God, are you really telling me to go quit my job and go teach adjunct? But he was. I'm reminded in the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 21. It says, your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it, whenever you turn to the right hand or whenever you turn to the left. So God will guide us. We just have to give it to him and ask. And that's what I was doing. When I was doing them laps around the parking lot at 9 months pregnant, I was like, Lord, am I making a mistake? What do I do? And he said, don't be afraid. With that confirmation, I went ahead and moved forward. And so that's my encouragement to you. Don't be worried about missing God, but bring everything to him in prayer and he'll direct you. So when you're in a season of press, the thing that's important to understand is set clear expectations for yourself, right? Know that your life is not going to be the way it normally is. You may not get as much sleep. You may be working harder. And so set those expectations for yourself when you start the season versus getting halfway in it and you just feel like it's a mess, right? Like set the expectation of it's not going to be normal schedule as usual. And I think the more that we can get mentally prepared for the press, the more successful we'll be in it. I think as well as, communicate your needs to those around you, right? So if that's people in your professional team, hey, we're going to be present for this next quarter. This is what I'm working towards, or, I'm really looking forward to this promotion and we have to hit these key indicators. I'm going to need your support with this as we press forward. Like be very clear. If you are married or have a partner, have children, and when I say children, not necessarily babies, this is older children, maybe you have teenagers, but communicate to your household what you need. And it may be telling your spouse, hey, can you do drop off and pick up for the kids? Or, hey, can you run the kids over to soccer practice a couple nights a week? I need to do some extra work. I'm in a press right now. This is something I'm working towards, this promotion, or I'm working towards whatever the goal is, right? It's communicating those things, especially when you're married. If you have a goal, it should be something communicated between you and your spouse so that you can support one another, you can rally around another, and help the household to move, right? We don't want to just drop our responsibilities and go, well, I'm going this way. I need this. I need your support. Yes. And we need to talk one to another and know that your needs are going to fluctuate, right? So like for me, I'm starting my doctorate in August. Right now, I don't know what I need. Once I get into the semester, I'll have a more clearer picture. But next year, what I need now may be different. And so I think it's that constant communication with those who love you, with those who support you around what you need in the season of press. Try to stay clear from the thought process of grind, grind, grind. Grind culture, though it's normal for us, heavily emphasizes dependence on self. It is this self-reliance that says, I don't need anybody. I can do this on my own. I can get this promotion on my own. I can do this startup on my own. And it really is heavily focused on self. There's this propensity to think that you don't need God. And you may never say that out loud, but your thought process and your actions dictate and say that, right? And so when we're in those seasons of rest, we want to remember to invite God into everything. In the book of Psalms, chapter 127, verses 1 through 2, it says, unless the Lord builds a house, the work of the builder is wasted. Unless the Lord protects the city, guarding it with sentries will do no good. It is useless for you to work so hard from early morning until late night, anxiously working for food to eat, for God gives rest to his loved ones. So God will give you the rest that you need, and he'll give you direction in the seasons of press. So remember, Even when you're striving towards something, never leave God out. Ask Him to help you to build it the right way so that you will be successful and it will be sustainable. Remember, Jesus is the vine and we are the branches. Absent from the vine, we can do nothing. I'm going to say it again. Absent from the vine, we can do nothing. So we have to stay close to God. I think especially in seasons of press because it can be overwhelming. You can start to feel anxiety can rise up. And so you're going to need that grounding that you only get from God to sustain you through. And He will tell you how to do it, who to call, who to reach out to. He will send you allies. So don't forget to include God in your grind, but know that it is Him that helps you to get the work done. It's Him that helps us to be successful. When I went into that interview, I got that adjunct position. I was 9 months pregnant. It all worked out, but it was only because of God. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been there. I would not have even had the courage to apply and then take the job. Like, I was so scared, but it was me asking Him, Father, what do I do? What do you want me to do? And so that's what I encourage you. Submit yourself to God. Ask Him, what is it that you want for me to do in this season? He knows what promotion He wants you to go up for. He knows if He wants you to leave an organization. And I know that can be scary. I've done it. And you're leaving what you know. You're leaving what's comfortable for the unknown. But you know the God you serve, and that's where you seek your peace. I know God. I know He's faithful. I will trust Him. And you take that step or leap. It could be a step or leap of faith forward. For me, taking that teaching job, it was a leap because I had known full-time work. I had known leadership for so long. And I was like, what do you mean we're about to go teach? And that's what I did. But you know what? It all came together. I went from being an executive, leading at 25 years old, stressed out, hitting a place of burnout about 7 years in, to, okay, let me downshift. Let me shift and do coaching and training. That coaching and training, unbeknownst to me, it prepared me to go teach. By the time I started teaching adjunct, I had been training and coaching social workers for 5 years. I had written curriculum. I had facilitated countless hours of training, countless hours of working with supervisors and managers, so that when it was time for me to now go teach adults at the collegial level, I was ready. You see how all that came together. This is hindsight over a 20-year career. It's not going to always make sense when God tells you to do something. It's not going to always make sense when you feel this nudge to go over here, go this way. And you've prayed about it and you have peace and you're like, okay, I'm going to go this way. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to go this way. But God knows what He's doing. And so we have to learn to just remember that God is faithful. And He will help you and He will guide you along that path. He will give you what you need. He will give you strength to press through the difficult seasons. He'll give you strength to press towards that success. And He'll give you rest. As we just read in Psalms 127, He gives rest to His children. So He'll give you the rest that you need when you need it too. The other thing that I have found important is setting clear boundaries. Setting clear boundaries for myself around what I can and cannot do. And sometimes that is saying no to some things. Sometimes it's saying yes to things and recognizing that your yes has a cost. Really measuring that out, because excellence, it does come with a cost. To whom much is given, much is required. It's going to require something of you. So just recognizing that, I think that's half the battle. So what is your non-negotiable? In your season of press, what is it? And whatever it is, stick to that and be present in a moment, right? So for me, it is important for me to spend time with my children. And so when I'm spending time with my kids, I have to be focused. That means no cell phone. Put the phone down. Put the phone down. Don't be sitting there scrolling on Instagram or LinkedIn and trying to figure out what you need to do for emails and who you need to reach out. No, put the phone down and be fully present. It's like commit to the moment of what you say is important to you, because it's going to be better for you and your family in the long run. The press is for a moment. It's not forever. So the other part about being in the press is getting laser focused on what you're doing. If you're working towards a promotion, get laser focused on that and limit distractions. You have other stuff going on that's popping up. It's like, wait, do I need to say yes to this? How does this align with the goal? Be clear about what your desired outcome is. And as the different opportunities come, then you'll have to say yes or no, depending on, does this align with the desired outcome and where I'm going? And then in seasons of rest, what I've learned is Rest requires intentionality. You got to schedule that thing. Listen, gone are the days of like, oh, it's spring break. Oh, let's go to Maui. But. No, you need to plan like 6, 8 months in advance. Like, okay, I think I want to go on vacation next summer. I think, we're going to go here for spring break for the kids. You got to be intentional and get a schedule. For me and my family, we try to do vacation 3 times a year. And that's usually around spring break. We have the summer and then usually at winter break. And so that's how we try to schedule that time. And so for you, it's like schedule it. And it doesn't have to be that you're spending all this money. It doesn't have to be that. It could be a simple staycation. You can go visit your relatives, but take the time to intentionally rest. And then when you rest, be fully present in the moment. Don't be on your phone. Don't be on your laptop like I used to be. I remember my husband and I, we went to like Vegas for like a quick turnaround. And I took my laptop and I was working because I had a report that was due like that Monday. And I remember just like working and being on my computer and being so frustrated. And my husband's like, why do you keep doing this to yourself? And it was like it was something I was doing. I wasn't planning well. And then here I am on my vacation now trying to get something done. And it was not a good cycle. So I just say to you, when you rest, be intentional. And then I would say schedule a mini rest break. And that is how you carve out time for yourself throughout the day. It doesn't have to be, 2 hours, 4 hours at the spa. It may just be you carve out 30 minutes for yourself where you disconnect, maybe go take a walk. Like I told you, I was walking around a parking lot at work. So I don't want to hear excuses about, well, I'm at work. I can't walk. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Wherever you work at, if you work in a building, you can go take a little walk. I did this the other day. I went to breakfast with a really good friend and I got there like 15 minutes early and I just walked around the block. I walked around the neighborhood before I got to breakfast with her and I just took a little 15-minute walk. And it was so nice. So that when I sat down for breakfast, I was energized. I had exercised. It was wonderful. So we have to be intentional about those things. So now we talk about, and you've heard people say this like, oh, I need a vacation from my vacation. And when I hear people say that, it just makes me, I don't know, it just makes me sad. It's like, oh, did you not enjoy yourself? What does that mean, really? Here's the thing. When we return from rest, we have to be intentional about how we re-enter work. I think it's always good to plan a buffer day. Do not fly in back from vacation or drive in back from vacation and be back at work the next day. I did that last year. It was so bad. We had our annual prayer conference and then which was on a Saturday, Sunday was a little bit of a rest day, but really not much. And then I was back at work on Monday. And then that Monday was a day full of meeting. So I was in an 8-hour meeting all day. I was like, who did this? Girl, you did. Girl, you did. So plan yourself a buffer day when you return from vacation so you can be at home, get your house together, do laundry, unpack, clean up your home, go into the grocery store. Like have that day to just kind of come back, reset, connect so that you can be ready when you go back to work. And then that first day back from work from vacation, give yourself about 3 to 4 hours of buffer. So keep that out of office on maybe till noon. So that morning you come in, you start dealing with emails, the things that are pressing. You're going to sort through that, pull out the urgent stuff, pull out things that have your name on it for action items. You're going to do emails for a couple of hours. If you have an admin team, check in with your admin team. Hey, what did you miss? What's pressing? Are there any crises that you need to attend to? Catch up with colleagues. Hey, what did I miss? What's going on? Just to get yourself abreast so you can kind of get your footing so you're not coming in kind of all over the place and you feel overwhelmed. And don't do that to yourself. Be intentional about your reentry, right? Back into work. So that it doesn't feel like this headache that now like, oh, I shouldn't have taken that vacation. I'm coming back to 400 emails. And you may come back to 400 emails. And that's okay. You're going to triage those emails and you're going to take it piece by piece. We cannot boil the ocean. You take it one thing at a time and you'll be fine. So for me right now, it's a season of press. We are in conference season. So we are pressing towards August 15th. As you pray this week, I ask that you add me to your prayers, add our conference to your prayers, because we're moving, right? And so I am trying to be intentional about the moments of rest through the day and then knowing that we have to press forward, and that is okay. I would just say be flexible with yourself. Give yourself grace. You're not going to get it right every time. You're not going to always know when to rest. You're going to miss stuff. You may miss an appointment. You may forget to call this person because you're so laser focused on whatever it is you're trying to achieve, and that is okay. All right, I will see y'all next time. If this episode blessed you today, please share it with a friend. Tag me on social at Audrey T. Shelby. I will see you back here again soon.